All right. Well, hello everybody. Welcome to our Wellness Wednesday. For those of you who haven't been with us before, Wellness Wednesday is a weekly program that the Office of Health Promotion and Wellness puts on. We cover different topics every week, and this week we are super excited to be partnering with Meet Me at the Mission under the Division of Mission and Ministry to talk a little bit about VinnyFest. So if we'll all go around maybe and do just some quick introductions of who we are, and then we can get into things. So I can start. My name's Peter. I'm a junior at DePaul, and I'm on the Health Education Action Team, or HEAT, here at DePaul, under the Health Promotion and Wellness Office.
And then, hello, I'm Nikhil. I'm a sophomore at DePaul, and also HEAT with Peter.
All right, hi everyone, I'm Erin. I work in Meet Me at the Mission in the Division of Mission and Ministry, and I'm a senior at DePaul.
Hello, good people. It's so good to be with you. My name is Joanna Dvorak, and I serve on the Vincentian Service Information Team, which is also part of the Division of Mission and Ministry. And we're super excited to be celebrating our Vincent Paul Heritage Week and being with all of you tonight to share some of the good wisdom that Vinny has for us today.
Yeah. So with that, we can just kind of get into it. We have some questions to learn a little bit more about what exactly VinnyFest is and what it is that we're celebrating, and why, and sort of what that means to us here at DePaul. So with that, what is VinnyFest? Like, what is this all about? Why are we celebrating something for Vincent right now?
I can start. So, great question. VinnyFest is a DePaul tradition that we are currently in the midst of. We're halfway through, so yay. And it is really a DePaul tradition to celebrate the Feast of St. Vincent de Paul. So in the Catholic tradition, there's a feast day for St. Vincent de Paul on September 27th. And that's just honoring his legacy. So VinnyFest is a way that we like to bring together the DePaul community to get involved in some fun activities, learning about the mission, and yeah, typically like in person, but we know even from last year that we need to make creative adaptation. So this is how we're doing it this year virtually, and still finding really unique ways to connect with the community.
Yeah, this whole week is Vincent de Paul Heritage Week. And as Erin said, we are inviting the whole DePaul community, students, faculty, staff, alumni, to take a pause in our normal routines and to reflect upon that name above the door, right? Vincent de Paul. Well, who was this guy? What was he about? How does he connect to who we are as DePaul University and the mission that we're trying to live out? So our partners for VinnyFest are our student organizations, their different departments, different offices, and they've blown us away with this invitation to have a virtual VinnyFest this year, as Erin said, with the creativity of all the different activities that they're inviting folk to this week. So we're grateful to HPW and HEAT for being one of those great partners.
Yeah, well, we're really excited to have you. I mean, this is really a fantastic week. It gets to the heart of sort of our mission here at DePaul. What does that mission mean to you? How do you both relate to this?
So for me, the Vincentian mission, as much as I teach about it all the time, I really can sum it up by saying it's about human dignity, respecting the human dignity of each person. And I think the idea of Vincentianism is something anyone can relate to. It's not exclusive to Catholics. It's really like there are values that can connect to anyone of any faith. But so for me, the Vincentian mission is about creating a safe space and a welcoming environment for people to be themselves in, meeting people where they are, knowing we're all coming from different perspectives and backgrounds. And I think the Vincentian mission is really rooted in this idea of Vincentian simplicity, just being transparent, being fully yourself, and meeting others where they are and allowing them to be themselves. So it's a lot about building relationships, social justice, and yeah, just like trying to make the world a better place, bringing ourselves into it.
Yeah, that resonates a lot with me, Erin, all the things that you've shared. And for me, it comes down to when we look at the life of Vincent DePaul and how he lived his life, he and Louise Mary, I can't forget about her, they had this vision. And they're in 17th century France in a context where there was poverty, there was war, there was hunger, there was always violence during Vincent's life. Like all of these huge things were happening that sound kind of similar to what's happening today, right? Violence, a pandemic, right? All these things. But Vinny and Louise had this vision that another world was possible, that this isn't how we have to live, that there's ways for us to build bridges in relationships. There's ways for us to connect the resources of, in his time, the very rich and wealthy to those most in need, which again is what we're trying to do in our world today as well, as we create new visions. And for me, the mission is believing that another world is possible, right? That, and not just believing it and having it be a statement on a wall, but really using our hands, using our hearts to be part of building and creating and forming that other world is what the heart of the Vincentian mission is for me. I'd love to hear about your perspectives, though, about what the mission means to you both as members of HEAT and just members of our DePaul community.
You can go first, Peter.
Yeah. I think both of you really spoke very well to what the Vincentian mission is. I think one of the reasons it resonates with me so much is the same reason why I was interested in becoming a part of HEAT. And I think it's because the Vincentian mission looks at people as whole people. And it's inclusive and it recognizes people where they're at and it meets them where they're at. And I think that the Vincentian mission is, we hear this question all the time of like, what must be done? And so I think that question really gets to the heart of what the mission is. And I think that question translates so well to what we do at the Office of Health Promotion and Wellness. So asking what must be done, what do our students and our community here at DePaul need to be healthy and to be successful? And so I think they're really, these two things are the Vincentian mission and the work that we might be doing in the Office of Health Promotion and Wellness or in Meet Me at the Mission. These things are really inextricably linked and connected, and like we have to have one, and we can't have one without the other. We have to have them both, working together. They work together so well and so bad.
Yeah, and I know like the slogan is also take care of yourself, take care of others, take care of DePaul. And it was really interesting. Last week I was just talking to Katie, one of our pro staff, and I feel like when we are tackling such large issues such as like either social injustices or like something like this pandemic, it can feel like our individual efforts don't have that much weight to them. But one thing that Katie mentioned is that for educating someone else, you only need to be one step ahead. You don't need to know the whole picture. Mm-hmm. So I feel like just having that in mind all the time is a good way to kind of prompt the question again of like what must be done, what can you do as well.
And to realize that Vinny did not have it all figured out when he started, right? Like and first to realize too, he didn't have his wake up moment until he was in his mid 40s. So we are leagues ahead of him, at least. This is good. And as he was experimenting with this idea of putting love into action by creating new systems of charity to respond to the needs, as he formed small communities of people who he trained and formed to take care of those needs in a very particular way, he didn't know what the next step in front of him was going to be all the time, right? It was a lot of experimenting and trying things out. And figuring out what didn't work and not doing that again, and moving forward with what does work and trying to replicate that in different ways. So I think that's important for all of us to remember is it's okay that we don't have it figured out. And it's important that we're in community trying to figure this all out together and taking care of each other in different ways and such.
Yeah, just to chime in, I think that really just makes me think about how, like right now, especially, it's so important to show up, even if, you know, you're not showing up perfectly, knowing that it's okay to make mistakes and just continuing to learn from them and like working to do better, I think is like a lot about what the Vincentian mission is.
Yeah. Well, and I think you both touched on something really important, and that's not only talking about what the mission is, but it's bringing it into focus in today and applying it today. I'm really curious, how do you connect this Vincentian mission to your work today? Because I mean, Vincent was alive 400 years ago. I think it's easy to say, well, how is this still relevant today? How do we bring this into our work today?
So personally, for me, as a workshop facilitator, and I also like just work with different partners at DePaul, trying to develop partnerships. I think my work really is, I can see parallels between what Vincent and Louise did, not to like toot my own horn, but it's about like doing outreach to the people and trying to bring community in, and bringing forth that idea of Vincentian, like radical hospitality that we talk about. So really like meeting people and having like consistent ways that we're approaching them, and having like approachability, I think is something that I try to bring with me in my work and anywhere at DePaul. That's something that's kind of unique about the Vincentian community, is that you can always tell that it's a Vincentian community because when they ask you how you're doing, they really want to know the answer, and it's creating those spaces of reflection. So that's something I try to do, like if I'm in class or just with my friends, checking in with them, like giving them that space to really share what's on their mind.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. For me, it really comes down to relationship, right? And relationship with whoever I'm encountering, whether that's on Zoom or whether it's on my way dropping my kid off at daycare. How am I engaging with relationship? And in particular with kind of the work that I'm charged with, it's all about seeing the possibility and the potential and the incredible gifts of all of you students at DePaul, and inviting you to share those gifts with our DePaul community and more so beyond in our world. So it's that sense of recognizing the gifts that are there. Sometimes needs a little bit of, no, really, you really have incredible gifts that need to be shared with the world. And then empowering and inviting, giving some tools along the way in order for you all to succeed. Because at the end of the day, DePaul's mission is you, right? All of you students, your success and what you choose to do with your education beyond the walls of DePaul. Hopefully it's an education that is one that will transform our world, right? Transform our structures, our systems, no matter what kind of thing that you're studying. It doesn't matter if you are the best Starbucks barista or if you're the head of a really big financial whatever, right? Like there's a way to live the Vincentian way in all of those positions. And I see it as my role, and what Vinny and Louise did is helping people to see their great potential, and that invitation to do something more with that potential.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the things that makes DePaul so unique, is that it is a holistic education. It's not, nobody is just one thing. And I think folks are really intentional about being sure that along with whatever it may be that you're focusing on and studying, you're also learning how to just be like a good person in relationship to the rest of the world. I think that's really special about DePaul and about the education that we provide.
Yeah, for sure.
I think one of the things that we talked about a little bit earlier was like St. Vincent de Paul's recognition of a need 400 years ago, and a recognition of this spiritual need. Um, I'm curious, what does spirituality look like for both of you, and how do you ensure that you're nurturing that spiritual side of yourself as much as you're nurturing that physical side?
I think for me, the going off of like what is spirituality, I know everyone has a different understanding, right? But for me, it's like thinking about myself in relationship to other people and to the world, just anything that is greater than myself. So like tuning into just the interconnectedness of everything and like nature and everyone. So that's how I see it, and how I ensure I can nurture my spiritual being. I would say I found it so important, especially lately, like working remotely, to be aware of my physical needs. Like I've been doing a lot of yoga recently, which I previously did not do, but I'm trying to like tune into, like where there's tension in my body. And I think that has a lot to do with my spirituality as well, because it helps me be more mindful and just mindful in everything, right? Mindful of others' emotions and how I can respond to that, how I can serve other people's needs, and how I can serve my own needs. So I think just overall, like finding times of solitude, time to be with myself and just listen to music or journal, like express my feelings in some way, is how I express myself and relate to my spirituality.
Yeah, spirituality, as Erin said, how do we define that? What does that mean? It's not a scary word. The sense of spirituality isn't necessarily connected with religion or a particular faith background, and it also might be and can be connected with those particular rituals and connections to the divine. So naming, there's many different ways to approach spirituality. For me, there's a Jesuit theologian, his name's Anthony de Mello, who talks about spirituality being waking up, right? It's about waking up. It's waking up to what's happening inside. It's waking up to what's happening in these dynamics of relationships, and then waking up to the world around us in different ways. And with that waking up, it's this reflection of how does what you believe, so what your values are, when the rubber hits the road, how are you putting into action those values? Where is there congruency in your life? So if I say my family is my most important value, then after this time with you, I'm going to go spend time with my family, right? That sense of, it's really that sense of actions and beliefs matching up, and needing to find different practices that can keep us accountable, keep us grounded, keep us rooted, keep us centered, keep us focused, to stay on that vision of the life that we want to lead, right? And if we believe another world is possible, okay, what am I doing to stay focused to be part of creating that other world, is what my spirituality is about. And taking time to nurture that spiritual being means I need to take time to pause and listen, as Erin said, like to our bodies, like what is my body telling me? We don't have to just keep running, like running from Zoom to Zoom, right? No, how are we pausing to breathe, to listen? And then, as Erin, your examples that you gave, to actually honor it with different practices such as yoga or exercise, or for me, it's biking. That's my space where I can lose myself, right? There's no kids, it's just me in the bike lane, and can just, enter into kind of another space of reflection.
Nicole, do you have any thoughts about spirituality?
I'm more on like what Joanna was saying, with like taking time to slow down a little bit more, just because I like try to cope by like doing a lot of stuff in like the spring quarter and in the summer now too. But now I'm realizing that like it's okay to not be productive, which is like, I don't know, a difficult thing to understand at first. But now like I'm checking in a lot more with myself, and like today I like took a nap, which is like surprising. I don't really do that much, but I think that's like one way that I've like started to incorporate it more.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that's really cool about spirituality and cool about like the Vincentian emphasis on it is that it's a really intensely personal thing. And it I think what's cool is that not only is it really personal, it's really inclusive because it allows everyone to express their spirituality how they see fit and how it works for them. And I think for me it is um, similar to what all of you shared. I think it includes pieces of that it's a mix of being in touch with the people and the things, the environments around me, and being in relationship with those. And it's also about being sure that I'm living my life in a way that's like true to what I believe in my values, and saying, okay, well, like you said, Joanna, if this is what I believe, I need to act on that, and I need to not just talk about it, but to really be an active participant in whatever that may be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that sense too, just to name, it's constantly evolving, right? And what our needs are and how, whether it's spirituality or the sense of wholeness, holistic care and spiritual wellness, it's going to shift and change depending on what's happening in our lives, depending on what's happening in the world. Old practices that maybe used to work to get you centered and grounded might not work anymore. And I know for myself in particular, so I do come from the Catholic faith background, and with not going to church every Sunday because of the pandemic, I've had to totally revision how do I have that connection to my community that's so important, right? My favorite part of church is talking to my friend Elsa and Maria and checking in with Julia, and right, this intergenerational community that I know I don't want to raise my kids alone, and this is the faith community that I want to help me do that. But I don't have that Sunday ritual anymore. So we as a family have had to figure out, okay, Sundays, what is that going to look like? And so now we bake something and we deliver it to one of the people from our church community, and take that intentional time though to still be in relationship and be connecting with the people that we care about, right? So that sense though that things are going to be different and also come in the least expected places. This will be the last story I share about this. But so my son's a first grader, and he is in person at our parish school, St. John Birchman's. And so every day we ride our bike to school, and the crossing guards, Miss Jean and Miss Betty, are there every day to walk us across Fullerton. And every day I am moved by connecting with them and saying hello, and them saying hello to Teddy and Ginny, my kids, and the sense that they're keeping us safe. Like literally, whoever's been on Fullerton, like those cars go really fast. Like they are saving our lives. But it's this ritual and this routine that now I count on, and it's all about relationship, right? And acknowledging the hard work that they're doing to keep us safe, that dignity in their work. And that sense of really being a part of a community is really key, especially to the Vincentian spirituality and kind of Vincentian spiritual wellness and holistic care, is that recognition of community. So that's my prayer these days, is riding my bike and connecting with the safety guards.
I love that.
So one of the cool things that you all did was you asked like around the Office of Mission and Ministry, like what does this idea of holistic wellness and spirituality, spiritual wellness mean to you, and what do you think of it? Think of when you hear about this. And so folks shared some really cool things. But how do you engage in this in your everyday life? And we've already touched on this a little bit, but what are some tools that people can walk away today and say, you know what, I can try this today and see if I can connect with my spiritual side a little bit more, or nourish my spiritual side today?
I think the most important thing to start off with is just being open-minded and going into it with the understanding that you can get something out of it. I think spirituality is something like, it can be kind of a loaded word. Like we don't know, we don't know what it means to us, and there's a lot of weight on it. There's a lot of expectations, but like all of you were saying, it's such an individual thing. So first being open-minded, and then as far as really incorporating it into your everyday life, I've been thinking a lot recently about something someone told me, that you don't need permission to take care of yourself. You don't need to ask permission. And so for me, that's been something I've really like taken to heart. And, that means setting boundaries, so that I can have intentional time with the things that I care about and the people I care about. Like Peter and Joanna, like both of you were saying, really aligning my values with my actions. So engaging with spiritual wellness, like it's really just the timing of it is something that's the struggle. It's such a struggle sometimes, especially as students, but just like finding what makes you feel good. And I'm going on a little bit of a tangent, but I know for me, like community is something I really, really value. And community makes me feel more connected to my spirituality. So I've just naturally gravitated towards that. And that's been something that, once a week, every Thursday night, I can count on getting together with people over Zoom, talking about our spirituality. And that makes it a little less intimidating and a little more like you can relate to each other. So I think, if you're nervous at first, like finding communities that make you feel seen and heard. And that's something that is like one easy thing to do. Just getting involved, finding a community, and carving out time for yourself.
Yeah, those are great ideas. And I think adding to it, just this willingness to experiment, right, with different practices. I teach a course, and during the spring quarter, one of the assignments was every week someone different had to post a spiritual practice. And again, the course was people from all different backgrounds, right? Different DePaul students. And some of them at first were like, you're asking me to do what? Like, I don't even know what this is. But then as we did it throughout the quarter, it was everything from go for a walk and pay attention to the nature that you see. Sit for 5 minutes in solitude and just be, don't do, right? Back to Nikel's point of like, we don't have to be human doings all the time. It's okay to just be. There was one week where someone invited us to take a cold shower, which I didn't do that one, but I was like, okay, if that's, because it woke them up and like made them feel more alive. And as Aaron was saying, it's a lot about tuning in and listening to every day. Where do you feel life? Where do you feel drained? Even just asking that question every night. Where did you feel life today and energy? Where did you feel drained? And go where the life is. Go where the energy is. Stay in gratitude would be the last practice of starting a gratitude journal of just every day, writing down one thing you're grateful for. It's transformed my life. And I think there's a lot of power in taking the time to root ourselves in gratitude.
Yeah, I think those are some really, really excellent tips. And I think it's really crucial that we are taking the time to take care of ourselves, as you said, and giving ourselves that permission to take care of ourselves. Because it's like we have all these parts to us. We have a physical side, we have a social side, an emotional side, and we have a spiritual side. And I think oftentimes that gets neglected. But one of the things that again, going back to that mission that's cool, is that we can look at it in a holistic way, where we say all of these things are important, including spirituality. And it doesn't mean it's more or less important than anything else, but it means that they're all necessary parts of this whole. And we have to nurture all of those parts if we want to be, a healthy person. I think that's a really, really special way to just like reframe and reconceptualize how we see ourselves fitting into the world. Are there any particular services you all can think of that DePaul can offer students to really engage a little bit more through this distance in holistic wellness and spirituality, and being just finding a place where they can even just be connected to the larger community?
I can recommend, I'm not biased at all, wink, but O's and Om Cafe that Meet Me at the Mission offers, in collaboration with Vincentians in Action, has been, so it's a weekly meeting every Thursday. And it's like, I think if you enjoy reflecting with other people, and just like having deep conversations and also like having fun and playing games and telling jokes and just tuning into how everyone's feeling, I would really recommend coming to that. It's a really great way to build relationships as well.
I think the other thing to be aware of within the Division of Mission and Ministry is we have staff, chaplains, and ministers from all different faith backgrounds who are available to connect with you and talk with you, right? Normally that would mean me inviting you into my office and here, let's have a cup of tea and sit down on the couch. But we still have virtual appointments and office hours where it might not feel the same, but when you get into the conversation, it really is, it's that connection. And so if you're exploring about faith or spirituality, if you're curious, if you're struggling and conflicted, again, we have a Muslim chaplain, a Jewish chaplain, we have 2 Protestant chaplains. And again, our job is to be here to listen and to accompany and to walk with all students as you navigate how to make sense and meaning in our world. So know that that's absolutely available. It's different than counseling, right? So just to be aware of that. The conversations are in mission and ministry are about life, and about figuring out who you are, who you want to become, all of that. And yeah, that would be my main resource.
Yeah, and I think just to extend that even further, the Office of Health Promotion and Wellness is always here as well as a resource that if you feel like whether it's struggling with spirituality or exploring it or anything, struggling physically or mentally, emotionally, or just looking for some extra resources, some extra connection, any type of support, that resource is always here for you if you ever feel like you want to reach out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I would also like to add that like the Raymeyer Fitness Center is also doing like online classes now. So I know like a routine for fitness was a really big part of my winter quarter. So like taking advantage of that's also a good opportunity.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're great at the Ray.
So before we head out, we have one question from a viewer here. So the question is for Joanna and anyone else who bikes. Do you prefer biking in bike lanes or side streets without lanes? And which one do you think Vincent?
That's a great question, Bridget. I love the question. I personally, my favorite biking is through nature. So like forest preserves or like the 606 trail is right by my house right now. So that's like where I really don't have to worry about getting doored by a car. So that would be my preference. Erin, what do you think Vinny's preference would be?
I feel, whatever is like the least more popular option, like because he wants to do something different, you know, he's trying to like spice things up. I think that's what, I'm not an experienced biker, so Joanna, I think you answered the question better than I could. But he would always wear a helmet.
That's
yes.
true.
Yes.
He tells me he might be biking alongside you, Joanna.
I love it.
Well, I would much rather bike on side streets or like in nature, somewhere where there's a few less cars. Although sometimes the added challenge of the cars can be a little fun.
There's an adrenaline rush, right? Where it's like, okay, here we go. We got this pothole, right?
It's not like an obstacle course. But. Yes. Nicole, do you bike at all?
I do not because of that reason.
Oh.
I mean, it's not a bad reason. Well, before folks on the live stream head out, we have just want to throw up at the end here. We have in the top right a QR code for folks to check in. If you've been watching, you can just scan it with your camera if you have an iPhone, and it'll take you straight to the link and check you in. If you could do that, that'd be really appreciated. But unless do you any of you have anything else you'd like to add today?
So final, just little plug would be that this is part of VinnyFest. This is one of the VinnyFest activities, our conversation here. And if you go to 2 more activities, you could get your very own, I have them right here, I'll be mailing them from my home, your very own VinnyFest t-shirt, there it is, will be mailed to you by yours truly. So we have lots for tomorrow and Friday. There's lots more VinnyFest events. Just follow us at MMATM DePaul on Instagram. Every day we have the run through of the different events that partners are hosting, just like this one. Tomorrow there's some Mad Libs that you can participate in, which will be really fun. And Friday we have our annual Vincent DePaul prayer breakfast, where Father Memo Campusano, our VP for the Division of Mission and Ministry, will be the keynote there. So check us out on Instagram and fill out the D-Hub form after you get 2 other events to get your VinnyFest t-shirt mailed to you by me.
Your t-shirt.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you both so much for being here. I mean, this is really wonderful to just get to sit down and talk and to get to share it with people. It's really special to have both of you here today. So we really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you both. You had great questions that we'll definitely keep on exploring together as a community. So keep up the good work.
Amazing.
Go, Vinny! Woo!
Take care, DePaul.
That's right.